Hey everyone, what's up? This is Zach, and I am here with a movie review for you guys, and I will be reviewing a film that celebrates its 10th anniversary this year in 2026. This film originally released in 2016, and I believe not too long ago it recently got a theatrical re-release, which I unfortunately didn't get to see in theaters, but oh well, I do have this film on Blu-ray, and I will be reviewing the movie Shin Godzilla, which released in 2016 and directed by Hideaki Anno, if I got the name right, who's a pretty interesting director, by the way. Now, this is a pretty significant film in the Godzilla series, in the Godzilla franchise. And the reason I say that is because at the time in 2016, this was Toho's first Godzilla movie in a number of years since Godzilla Final Wars, which was released in 2004. So it's been quite a bit since Toho has done a Godzilla movie, at least as of this time in 2016 when Shin Godzilla released. And I would say, in terms of Toho's Godzilla movies, it's a decent follow-up. Now, it's not a sequel by any means, but it's basically just another reboot, another remake, you could say. And I think this movie is just decent. Now, when it comes to Toho's Godzilla movies, I think that this is one of the weaker ones, in my opinion. And that's not to say that Toho can't make good Godzilla movies anymore, or at least make them as good as they used to, because the one that would come after this, the one that they would do after this, Godzilla Minus One, which released in 2023, I think is probably one of the best Godzilla movies, and definitely the best one in a number of years, too. And now, when it comes to the Godzilla studios, I do prefer Toho over Legendary. I know that there's some Legendary fans out there, which I guess I can understand, but I gotta give the majority of the credit to Toho. I think they make the best Godzilla movies, to be honest. I mean, I think when it comes to Godzilla, I definitely prefer the Japan ones over all of the American ones, to be honest. Now, when it comes to the Japanese Toho-made Godzilla films, again, I think this film is just decent. I think it's just all right. It is one of the weaker films in terms of Toho's Godzilla movies. Now, again, with Hideaki being an interesting film director, he did direct this, and he also directed the other Shin movies, you could say. I know he's directed Shin Kamen Rider, which surprisingly is really difficult to find in terms of a physical release. I don't even know if there's an official release for that movie or if it's extremely rare. I don't know what the deal is, but Kamen Rider physical media is very hard to come by, at least here in the States or where I live. And I know he's also done Shin Ultraman, which is a good movie. I do like that one. He has a very interesting directing style, and when you watch one of his movies, you can pretty much tell that it's him, him behind the scenes, with his, unique angles and all that stuff. Very unique stuff. So I think the way he directed Shin Godzilla, it's very well directed and very uniquely directed too. You get these different camera angles, especially when it comes to the dialogue scenes when you have the human characters, in the offices, having meetings and stuff like that. You got some very interesting directing angles there, which I guess make up for the somewhat boring human scenes in this movie. And that is probably my biggest gripe with this film, is the human scenes are quite boring. I think when it comes to any Godzilla movie, this has some of the most boring human scenes in any of the Godzilla movies. I mean, we've seen this type of thing before when it comes to the dialogue with the human characters. Like, oh, well, what is this giant creature and what are we going to do about it? It came from the water and, there's nothing to worry about. There's no need for the public to panic, but yeah, you know how this story goes. And it does go into the politics of that a little bit, but it's nothing too crazy, I guess. I just find the human character seems to be rather boring, that's all. But as for the look of Godzilla in this movie, I think the look is just okay. You could tell that they were trying to go for a more horror type look and direction with Godzilla in this movie. Like, he's a lot skinnier in this one, and he has an odd shaped head, and his tail is longer, and instead of just having atomic breath, I mean, he has like lasers coming out of his dorsal plates, lasers coming out of his tail, and you know, definitely different for sure. Definitely different. And I know that a lot of Godzilla fans say that this is the closest, or at least one of the closest things to an R-rated Godzilla movie. And I could definitely see that. And if I'm not mistaken, there was actually some cut content, some cut scenes from this movie that they decided were actually too graphic for the final cut of this movie. Scenes that were a little too gory, and yeah, and it's kind of interesting. And you have to wonder if they would have changed the rating if they would have added some of those cut scenes to the movie. And when you look deeper into Shin Godzilla, like this particular Godzilla itself, and do more research on the design, especially, with the ending, with his tail and everything, with the humanoids, appearing out of his tail and things like that. Like, it's, again, it has that horror-esque vibe to this movie. And yeah, definitely some interesting stuff. But yeah, so that's what makes it unique. So I can give credit where credit is due. It is definitely different. It is definitely something unique, something that's not like any of the other Godzilla movies or any of the other Godzilla designs even. It is definitely something interesting, but I think the fact that it's too different is why it is one of my least favorite Godzilla designs. Because, well, I know that some people complain about Godzilla 1998, the first American Godzilla movie with Matthew Broderick, about how some people say, oh, it's not really Godzilla. But you really have to ask yourself, is this really Godzilla? Because, well, this one's also different, like the 1998 version of Godzilla, so. But I guess a lot of fans more so see this more like Godzilla, which I guess makes sense. I guess the point is, and the gist of where I'm getting at here, is this is just a little too different for Godzilla. But not that's inherently a bad thing, because, again, I can appreciate that it is something different. And I think the different forms that Godzilla has in this one is pretty unique as well. Something different, how, he comes out of the water and, he's in his first form, and then he's in his second form. He grows arms, and and again, with the different camera angles. I mean, there's like one shot where like it's like a POV shot where like someone's like filming with the camera, and like they're like riding past Godzilla. And I thought that scene was really unique, and it really does, I guess, show how huge Godzilla is, and the scale of him and everything. I mean, so again, going back to the angles and the directing style, it is something unique and something that I can appreciate with this film. And the CGI actually looks pretty good in this movie too. I don't mind the CGI. I mean, the atomic breath stuff, and the stuff with Godzilla, and the destruction scenes and stuff like that. It all looks fine. I mean, yeah, maybe it looks better in -1, but it still looks fine in this movie. I don't mind the CGI in this film. But as it stands, I think this film is just decent. It's a decent Godzilla movie. I mean, it is basically just another remake, but it's a fine Godzilla movie. I mean, I wouldn't recommend this to people that are, I guess, looking to get into Godzilla or wanting to check out a Godzilla movie. I mean, if you have never seen a Godzilla movie before, I would not say start with this one. I'd say start with the original, the 1954 film, but Shin Godzilla, it's still a decent movie. It's a good movie if you're a fan, I would say. So if I were to give Shin Godzilla a rating or a score, I'm going to go ahead and give this film probably a 7.5 out of 10. It's just a decent, pretty good movie. Not one of the best Godzilla movies, but it's still quite good for what it is, so let me know what you think. Thanks for watching, take care, and have a good one.